All right. Hey, yeah, we're live. That's good. So I will start out by saying, well, first of all, you know what? I'd like this ultimately to get to a point where this is much more of a conversation between the two of us than it is just me on my own talking to space or virtual space. So leave me a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from. Actually, even if you're catching this on the replay, leave me a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from. That's going to help me kind of better understand both who is actually tuning in to watch either live or on the replay, and also help me kind of give me more motivation, give me some love so I can do more of these in the future. What I've decided is I do want to make it a consistent habit that I go live on a Friday at 10 a.m. here in the UK, which of course means it could be, midnight in Australia, depending which part of Australia you're in, or it could be ridiculously early morning, depending which part of the States you're in. So I understand that. But I do want to make it a habit, and there's a couple of reasons for that. And I would encourage you to start doing the same as well. One, it's a habit which is going to help grow my visibility, help grow my audience. It's also going to give me an opportunity as the numbers grow and we have more of a kind of a dialogue and a conversation, gives me more insight into what you're struggling with. And I can help share some of my experience to help you solve those problems, which I think is good. And got a comment already. I need to also understand how to use this. London. Oh, cool. Is that Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Crypto 420? I'm guessing you've got an interest in cryptocurrency with such a with such a moniker, such a label. Kind of cool. Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for the comment. That's all good. So so I would encourage you, if you are looking, and this kind of came out this week as well, because I've got a couple of clients at the moment that I'm helping run advertising campaigns for. And I think I've said this before, but the same problems arise. Everybody thinks they have a traffic problem, as in lead generation. They don't. They have a conversion problem. It's very easy to switch on an advert. It's very easy for, particularly, say, the Booker Faces algorithm to kind of go out and find people that will respond to your ad in some way. And then, of course, it's like, can you then turn that click into a customer? And that's really that's the skill part. That's where most of the thought process, the emphasis needs to be. But of course, what everybody is looking for is freedom. The reason that you would bring someone like me in is because, one, you don't necessarily want to go on that steep learning curve for yourself, although I do recommend that you learn some of the basics of turning clicks into customers. So you're looking at it in terms of, okay, I need the customers, but I don't necessarily want to have to go on the learning curve to learn it for myself. And the other side, of course, is ultimately you want freedom. It's that ability to be able to pull yourself out of the equation. What I would add to that is, and this is sometimes not easy to think about in the beginning, if when you're starting out, your whole thing is, I want to be able to generate an income, I want to be able to do that using, the whole Tim Ferriss concept of, the 4-hour work week. Good luck with that. But I would also say is, like, even if you had a 4-hour work week, what would you do with all the other hours? So, something to think about as well. I enjoy speaking to audiences, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have done it for the last couple of decades. I really enjoy solving problems. And so for me, the way I've kind of married those two together is, one, doing live streams like this, but also for myself in terms of the campaigns that I run for the kind of products and the products I create, and now, of course, running campaigns for clients, is solving their problems. It's like, how do we take someone who is, from a personality point of view, maybe very different to me, and yet still find them an audience that responds to them and find them customers who want to work with them. And that's been really intriguing for me this week, because I'm kind of high energy, so high energy, much more outgoing. I'm certainly not a full out extrovert. My wife's way more extrovert than I am, but certainly, I am more extroverted. I'm not like super introverted. So I'm somewhere in the middle. So I'm kind of high energy when I speak, and the bigger the audience, the more energy I put out, and I really feed off that audience's energy. And that's me. So the kind of people, I guess, that are going to listen to me or find me interesting, engaging, entertaining, are going to resonate with my personality. I talked about this actually in a YouTube video recently where I've been talking about personal branding. And I made the comment, or the insight, if you like, that people will remember your personality long before they remember your brand. So, spending months having a graphic designer design a logo for you is a complete waste of time, because you're better off using that time to get in the game, get in front of people and find your audience. That's much better because the people in there are going to remember your personality. So, I'm working with a couple of people at the moment, one of whom is much more, I would say, more process oriented. And then that's reflected in their energy and their personality, in that they are much lower key than I am. Like, in terms of the volume of the voice, the pace of their voice, the variety in their voice, much more low key than I am. So for me personally, that doesn't resonate directly. I mean, he's become a good friend and, we have some great conversations, but I wouldn't necessarily seek out someone with that kind of personality. Does that make sense? To listen to as a speaker. But of course, then he's got clients who love him, who adore him, and who love his type of energy, who love his type of personality. So it's been very interesting for me. And it's like, how do you make sure that you're reaching the people that you really want to reach? Well, the only way to do that is through video. And what I mean by that is you've got to be on video. So the second client that I've been working with, these are two friends, and I'm not in the business of finding clients for running campaigns. Hey, mate, how you doing? So I'm not in the business of doing that, but I am doing some of that for two friends, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying solving different problems. So what I've realized early on, because in the beginning I was like, okay, I'll just write some ads. Somebody came on, we wrote some ads, and so they were all text ads. So then it was just the classic stuff of run a text ad, change the images, test the images, see what got the best response, change the messaging on the ads and on the landing page. And at the time we were promoting a virtual event. So it was like getting people to register for the event. And that all worked fine. But then as I've moved forward, if all you do is run ads, which are just, here I am, here's my message, come buy my product or come on my virtual event, at some point you quickly realize that your ad costs are just going to go up and up and up, because you're typically competing for the same people that many other people are competing for in the sort of make money space, internet marketing space. And you have no relationship with these people. And they don't get a sense of who you are from reading written text, especially when I'm writing the text on someone else's behalf, because of course, if they were going to get a sense of anything, they're going to get a sense of my energy, not the client's energy. So the solution to that is video. And this has been really interesting. It's like when I say video, it doesn't matter what it is. Like literally, I am running a campaign right now for a client who is a beautiful human being. He has a beautiful soul, and that comes across in how he speaks, in his mannerisms, in his facial expressions. He speaks with much more, more slowly, more deliberately than I do. And so the first thing I said to him, I said, look, we need a clip of you doing something you would naturally do, as in what sort of things you're interested in. Now, as it turns out, this guy's background is music. He's been involved in music production, record labels, all that kind of stuff. And so he has now moved into this area where he wants to help people. And he's got something, he's been promoting a product, which is kind of a mind reset, I believe he calls it. It's been going well. He's had a good number of clients. They've all thoroughly loved it, got some amazing benefit from it. And he was like, okay, so how do you put those together? And he said, I've got a clip of me singing a Lionel Richie song. I'm sure he won't mind me telling you, so I'm not going to tell you his name, but you'll see his video. And he said, I've got this video. And he said, but the important part about the video is he explains the lyrics, because it's one of these songs. I forget the name of the song now. It'll come to me. But the lyrics of the song, if you listen to them, are very deep. I mean, like the message that Lionel was putting across in the song is an amazing message. But obviously, if you just listen to it as a pop song, you might miss the lyrics, you might miss the message. So he was really slowing it down and giving people an insight into the words and the lyrics and what they mean. And I thought, that's perfect. So in that video, and this is the important part, in that video is him singing direct to camera. Like I'm doing a live stream now, direct to camera. He's just singing, and it's a 4-minute clip. They're like, great, that's what we want to run as an advert. And of course, then the question is, well, but you're not promoting anything. No. Doesn't matter. What I'm doing is introducing him to the world, getting his audience to find him. And we're using, the Facebook's algorithm to help us do that. So it's very much and this is a structure I've been sharing with people. So if you are doing anything online, you'll have come across this, or if you haven't, definitely write this down. Think of gaining clients from click to customer is not a one-step process. So to help you understand that process, you have a funnel idea. So the funnel is obviously you put more people in the top of funnel, people filter through to the bottom, and at the bottom, they're buyers, they're customers. But within that funnel, think of it in 3 simple steps: top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And that's it. So what happens at the top of the funnel? What you don't want to do is be trying to sell something at the top of the funnel, because that's kind of that thing of, I've just met you, you've never heard of me, but I'd like you to immediately trust me for no reason whatsoever. Get your credit card out and buy stuff from me. Is that going to work? Occasionally. Like if you're offering a product which solves a really urgent problem and the person you're talking to immediately right now has that problem, then yes, there's a good chance they're going to buy. Not guaranteed, but there's a good chance they're going to buy. But for most people, that's not going to happen. Like I've done, 20 years of getting on stage and promoting to an audience. And the biggest part of my presentation, the 70% of my presentation, was always designed to build a bond with the people who are listening to me. So trust and credibility, always. Because without that rapport, without that bond, making an offer is meaningless, because they're not going to buy. Even if it's a fantastic offer, they're going to be like suspicious of, will it work for me? Will this person actually deliver? Is it something that if it doesn't work out for me, can I trust this person to do the right thing? All of that's going through their head. So by treating our campaigns online as a little bit of patience, all I want to do in the beginning is make the most, leverage the tools that are available to me. So the tools that, say, the Book of Faces gives me is the ability to, say, put up a video and allow Facebook to track who watches the video and how much of the video they watch. Now, Facebook has this thing called a through play. A through play is where somebody watches minimum 15 seconds of a video. Now, you might say 15 seconds is not a long time, but 15 seconds is a huge amount of time for somebody to make an impression about you. See, that whole idea as human beings, it's part of our hard wiring. We meet somebody, first thing we do, we make an impression of them immediately. Do I like this person? Do I not like this person? Do I trust this person? Do I not trust this person? All of that happens in nanoseconds, literally, because it's part of our evolutionary survival mechanism. So 15 seconds is a vast amount of time, really. So what I've been doing is saying, I said to my clients, okay, look, give me that video. We'll run a campaign. And all we're looking for is to build an audience of people who will watch at least 15 seconds. That's it. So that's what we're doing. So we're running that. Now, give you an idea, if you want some numbers on this, you're looking for somebody watching 15 seconds, which is a through play. From a cost point of view, for me personally, I tend to use a rule of thumb of I don't want to spend more than 3 cents per through view. So 3 cents. So I run everything in dollars online. So 3 cents per through play. So think of it in that terms. I also, the goal, you might want to write this down, is I want 1,000 through plays as quickly as possible. So 1,000 people who've watched a minimum of 15 seconds. That gives me, using Facebook tools, a retargeting audience. So now I have a little pool of 1,000 people. It's not huge, but that's 1,000 people I can move to the next stage, which is the middle of the funnel, and so on and so on. So middle of the funnel, we can start actually doing some lead generation stuff. Bottom of the funnel, we can start obviously making offers and making sales. But the other thing, this is the other side that has come out this week, big time. Once you hit 1,000 people who've watched 15 seconds, then you can also make use of Facebook's lookalike audiences. I don't know if you're familiar with this stuff, but basically you can build an audience on Facebook. So people watch a video, you build an audience of it. Then you can say to Facebook, look, I've got 1,000 people who've actually watched this video. I want more people like that. So all the data that Facebook has, the thousands of data points it has on every single person that's ever been on Facebook, it can go off and say, okay, this is the profile of the people who've watched your video. In other words, this is a profile of the people that like you. This is your audience. So it's like, okay, great, go find me more people like that. And so you can go from 1,000 people and it'll build a lookalike audience very quickly, like under 30 minutes. And you've got lookalike audience that could be over 1 million. So immediately, massive leverage, which brings me to our next point, actually. Leverage, something I've been it's come up a couple of times this week, is the ability to get a bigger return for the amount of effort you put in. I'm a big fan of creating assets. So the idea is, can I create something that gives me a bigger return? In other words, can I do the work once and get returns and rewards over and over and over and over and over again? And so leverage is something I look for consistently. So, if you create a great webinar and it works, it converts strangers to customers, then of course, once I've got that nailed and it's working, now I can automate it. It's a massive asset. Even by itself, before you automate it, it's still an asset. That's everything I did, in terms of getting on stage, talking to audiences. Immediately you've got leverage because I'm not talking one-to-one, I'm talking 1 to 100 or 1 to 1,000 or 1 to multiple thousands. So you have a massive leverage straight away for your input. But with the internet, of course, we can go further than that and we can get to a point where the whole thing runs automatically. You've seen these. They run automatically. Now you've got massive leverage. So I'm always looking for leverage with everything I do. And even with property, real estate. What is real estate but leverage? You do negotiate a great deal. And if you're buying the property for yourself to put in your own portfolio, you negotiate a great deal. You pull the property into your portfolio. You let it out to tenants. Obviously, you've done all your numbers up front. You've got tenants ready to go in. They go in. Now you're generating a revenue from them that covers all the costs. Hey, Rajesh, good to see you, mate. So you're covering all your costs. And of course, you've now got an asset, which doesn't require you to be putting in the effort every single day. It's like, again, obviously real estate is a big area of mine that I've put a lot of effort into over the last sort of couple of decades. So again, it's that whole idea of creating leverage. And I would say the biggest shift, I recorded a video yesterday for my YouTube channel, which is probably going to come out in about 4 or 5 weeks. And actually, strangely enough, I recorded it last night using this microphone, or I thought I was using this microphone, only to discover afterwards that actually the software I was using, I hadn't selected the right microphone. So it was using the microphone in my camera, not the microphone in here. So the sound was awful. So I got to redo it again. But, mistakes happen. These things, I'm human. I make mistakes. But the point was, I was putting in this talk, this idea that it's all about leverage. And one of the key things that if somebody wants to move from, say, being an employee and going towards being an entrepreneur, one of the big distinctions in your thinking and that shift in thinking is asking yourself regularly, how do you create leverage? Because if you're an employee, of course, or if you're an employee, then you've been in an environment where typically someone has told you what to do. And secondly, you're getting paid for your time, which is not how real life works. So you're going to work in an environment where you believe and are constantly told that you're getting paid for your time. So you have to do a contractual number of hours each week. You get paid for those hours. If you do more hours, you typically don't get paid for them if you're in some sort of management position. If you do less hours, then obviously people get upset with you. So you've got a contracted number of hours. But as soon as you move into the entrepreneurial world, that all goes out the window because it's got nothing to do with time and everything to do with results. So now your focus is all about results. And results really in business means sales, because without sales, you don't have a business. And I get, the whole thing of, I got into business because I want to make a difference. So did I. I got into business because I want to influence people and help shape the quality of their life. So did I. But none of that matters if you're not making sales, because you're not going to stay in business. If you don't stay in business, you don't get to help anybody. So all of that is important. So leverage in everything you do. So think in terms of results, think in terms of leverage. So what else has been going on for me this week? Well, tell me what's been going on for you this week. Maybe there's some challenges you've been facing. If you want to put them in a comment, I'll certainly take them on board and we can probably solve them before I end this in about 10, 15 minutes or so. So things that have been going on for me, I've carried on and just closing the loop on that, running a campaign, which at the moment I'm running a campaign, which is, as I said, it's a video of my client and his background's music. So he's singing a Lionel Richie song, and he's then explaining the lyrics. So it's a 4-minute clip. And I'm running that, and it's going brilliantly. Like my metrics, as I say, I like to keep it under maximum 3 cents per through play. We're definitely at that. So that's all working well. And we're building this. And my whole goal, as I said, is to get to 1,000 people as quickly as possible. Which, if you think about it, at 3 cents per through play, to get to 1,000 people who've watched at least 15 seconds is only $30. I mean, $30 to build an audience. Once we've got 1,000, Facebook does its magic, gives us another 1,000,000. Now we've got a real pool of people to play with to move to the middle of the funnel. So it's going really well, really enjoying it. And I would say that's been one of the big things for me is this idea of how quickly can I find the right audience for you? And the right audience for you is always going to be people who like you as a person first. They resonate with your personality. And the fastest way to do that is to get on video. I've been doing lots of little clips. I think did I mention last week? I don't know. That I've been inspired by Dennis Yu. Dennis Yu talks a lot about this sort of top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. And he's a huge advocate of doing very simple, less than a minute videos on anything that pops in your head. So, he's been I managed to have a YouTube interview with a young entrepreneur. Oh, superb. As in they were interviewing you or you were interviewing, is this your podcast? Ah, okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. So you've been busy. That's all good. That's brilliant. Hopefully they got somewhere to send them to. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I'll talk about that in a moment if I continue to remember. That's nice. So then, it's as I say, it's building that audience that like you, that resonate with you. So, very different. As I said, if I'm high energy, people who like me tend to like high energy. Doesn't mean you couldn't like somebody who's very different. I was interviewing them. Oh, cool. So it's kind of like your own podcast. That's good. That's fantastic. You can leverage that because now you got what's great about that. Actually, this ties in perfectly with what I'm talking about here. I would, if you were going to run adverts and you wanted to spend $30 to build an audience, Rajesh, then I would run potentially little clips of that interview, like less than 2 minutes, and run that and get 15-second through plays, turn that into a retargeting audience. But what I would also do is I would get you on video just talking about your why you do what you do, why you got into business. Again, keep them like a minute, 2 minutes max, and run those as adverts. And your goal is no more than 3 cents per through play. The ultimate goal is to get 1,000 through plays. So you now have a little pool of 1,000 people. Facebook can then build a lookalike audience off of that very easily. That would be my suggestion to you, because what you're doing then is you're finding people that resonate with you. Like your brand is you before your logo. So it's your personality is your biggest brand. So people resonate with you. So in the same way, my client, he's a singer. He's now getting, it is good. Not only good, it's phenomenal. The key, of course, is do it. So he's now building an audience of people that resonate with him, that like him. And then, of course, we can then go out. And that's been one of the biggest insights for me. It's like we're in an environment where personality branding is huge, especially, social media just made that explode. It's much easier to promote and sell a personality than it is to sell a product which is faceless, like a traditional corporate product which has no personality behind it, no face behind it. And, people have known this for years. Why did Richard Branson become the public face of Virgin? Why not just have a logo and a brand and build it anyway? Because having a public face, a human being, is much easier for the rest of us human beings to relate to, of course, because we're always dealing with human beings. So that's been interesting. So build up that audience. Find the people that like you. And then, of course, you go to the second stage, which is like, okay, now you've got an audience that know you, like you. Now you move to second stage where, again, you're not selling straight away, but you may be offering something. So you might offer something. And at this point, could be a lead magnet in the sense of, can I, trying to collect email addresses in return for it? Or even if you just give something away for free, but again, follow that process of move them to a page where they can download it without giving you their email address. So as soon as they click to download, you take them to a thank you page where they can access it. But again, you now know the people who have downloaded it. And again, you can track all of that. So again, you can build up another retargeting audience. And then the final stage, the bottom of the funnel, this is where you can start selling. So you can either at that point, definitely ask them for an email address or offer them a small product, like a small commitment, something under $49 type of product. And then you're helping to liquidate your advertising costs. Your cost per sale will be much cheaper because these are people that you've built trust with because, of course, they've gone through the whole top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. As opposed to, and you can do this for yourself if you want to test it, run this top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, run a product for less than $49, see what sales it got, see what it costs you to collect that sale, to make that $49. Do the same thing by running a simple test of a typical ad straight to your $49 product and see what that costs you. I guarantee that the cost of trying to run it cold will be multiple times the cost of running it through Tofu, Mofu, Bofu. So that's been big thing. And that's what I've been really, really making my clients aware of. Because the other side of dealing with clients is getting them to listen. Funny stuff. It's like hire someone who's an expert and can help you and then challenge them on everything they tell you need to do. Yes, I'm all for being challenged. I'm all for being questioned. But, seriously, just listen. What about offering a free 90-minute coaching conversation at the end of my webinar YouTube? Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I mean, in the sense, if you were... Actually, there's a couple of ways you could use this. If you, like a 90-minute webinar, in the traditional sense, like it's a presentation. So obviously 90%, 70% of the presentation is designed to move them from top of funnel to middle of funnel before you get to your offer. I mean, that's why, and that's why I was running presentations. That's why a 90-minute presentation isn't a 5-minute presentation, because if I walked out on a stage in front of 4,000 entrepreneurial type people and just said, here's my offer, I'd probably get 1 or 2 sales, but not many. Whereas if I go out and do a 90-minute presentation and most of my presentation is focused on building a bond, building credibility, then that's the same as tofu and mofu. So that by the time I get to my offer, that's the bofu part, bottom of the funnel, then of course people are going to trust me, like me, and buy from me. So the same thing here. If you do your 90-minute webinar, most of your webinar is going to be focused on top of funnel, middle of funnel. In other words, you're building trust and you're building credibility. How do you do that? Through education. So you're educating people on what they are missing in their thinking to give them more confidence and also to move them further down that path to wanting to buy from you. At the end of it, your offer in this case, as you put in your comment, is having a one-to-one conversation. Yeah, absolutely. I did that a couple of years back. I was kind of in between, like I'd finished doing a couple of world tours at the end of 2014. And I was exhausted and I didn't actually want to I didn't want to see the inside of a plane again. At that point, there was a point in my life, I didn't want to see the inside of a plane again, ever again. Maybe I should be careful what I wish for, because obviously a pandemic, I've not seen the inside of a plane for a year. So anyway, so that happened. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay at home. But then it's like, well, what do I do if I'm not just getting out and running presentations? And I thought, okay, I'll do one of the things that my mentor at the time recommended was to do more one-to-one stuff. And that's why I did a lot of one-to-one. And he was saying, do it because the insights you will gain about your marketplace from talking one-to-one are huge. Like people will share things with you, particularly in a coaching relationship, that they wouldn't share otherwise. And that's certainly been true. And that helped me formulate the next stage of my plan, which was to turn that into courses and so on. So I did that. And the way I did it was I literally designed a webinar. I probably still got it somewhere. Designed a webinar, and at the end of it, it literally said, book a one-to-one with me. Now, what I did do, Rajesh, which you might want to play with, is I got people to pay for that. But I didn't frame it as you're buying a conversation. I framed it as this is a deposit. So literally, pre-frames are everything. Frames are everything, right? The most powerful tool of influence are frames. So what I said at the end, I'm not sure if I've told you this before, but what I said at the end was, book a call with me. The point of the call is we're going to establish this, this, and this. And then at the end of it, you can decide whether you want to take this further. But no matter whether you do or not, you will get value out of the call. So I laid out exactly what they were going to get. And it was designing their map, their plan of how to go from where they are to where they wanted to be. So even if they didn't work with me, they still walk away with a roadmap to get them to where they want to be, and they're on the right path. But what I also said was you need to put down a deposit. And I think at the time, the deposit I was asking for was like $97. And I also then spent a few minutes explaining that the $97 was not a cost. It was a deposit. It was a holding deposit for the meeting. That the only purpose of it was because I wanted to eliminate all the tire kickers. Because of course, and I've done this, I've tested where I've run it and I've said, book a call. You get a whole bunch of people booking your call and most of them don't turn up. Why don't they turn up? Because they got no commitment. They made no commitment. They haven't, which is why I switched to, no, it's $97. So it was $97. Everybody turns up when they've paid $97 because that's the only criteria. I tell them, look, you can have your $97 back at any point. As soon as we start the call, at any point, just say, I would like my money back. It's refunded immediately. I do not want your $97. That's exactly what I used to say to them. But what it does is it makes sure that I'm talking to someone who's committed. I know you're committed. You know you're committed because you put down $97. And let's be fair, if somebody isn't willing to put down $97, which is completely refundable, then they're never going to be a good client. Like even if they became a client, the chances are they'd be a terrible client who either wouldn't do what you tell them or who would complain incessantly about what you wanted them to do. Because, don't get me wrong, I love people, absolutely love people. But unfortunately, there are people who are, and, if you look at this in terms of people are on a journey, people are on a path, then there are people who, the stage of the journey they're at is where they really just want to blame other people. So they want to have a business that makes whatever figure, pick any amount, whether it's $10,000 a month or $10,000 a day. They want some sort of successful business, but they don't want to dig the reservoir to begin with. They just want it all given to them on a plate. And unfortunately, I haven't found a way to do that. And I haven't come across anyone else who's done that either. So there is, in the beginning, there is a certain amount of effort required. So if someone's not willing to put down $97 as a deposit to have a conversation with you to demonstrate their commitment, knowing that they can get it back at any time, then what would be the point? So I would suggest, yes, absolutely, very powerful, still works. Moving people from a webinar type thing where you're demonstrating your credibility and you're building a bond, which means education, educate. And then at the end of it, and I think you've got my webinar formula, follow that formula. But at the end of it, just put in the, I'm going to book a call. So book a call with me, give them a link, I don't know, there's a million of these apps out there, isn't there, today? I think I was using Book Like a Boss, and I've still got it. It's still a great tool. And so I've still got it, but there are others. Book Like a Boss, Calendly, Schedules, something or other. I mean, there's loads of these things where people can book an appointment and they have to pay for it. So it can all be done by the calendar software. So something like that would work perfectly well. So they book it, and then of course on the call, really what you're doing is you're just taking them through a process which moves them to make a decision. Actually, it's a two-way street when you do the call, because on the call, what I was doing was, one, I had very deliberate questions I wanted to ask, and I had a very deliberate process because, of course, my goal is to help them make a decision that's right for them. And if I feel I'm right for them and they feel that they would be right for me, then, of course, they're going to purchase. And that's really what the conversation was about. I mean, at the end of the call, at the start of the call, coming back to frames again, I would say, by the end of this call, I need you to make a decision. And at the end of the call, I'm going to say, either I'm going to offer to you that we can work together. And if I do that, so great, straight. And the reason I did it that way is because immediately it plants the doubt that this is not automatic. This is not you automatically get to become a client, because you don't. Nobody does. But the second part of that frame was, I was telling them up front, you need to make a decision. You can say yes, you can say no, but you can't say maybe, or any variation of maybe. Because what are the variations of maybe? I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my partner. It's like, no. So I would check all that up front anyway, but I would do that. And that's how I did it. And I was running, just to give you an idea, I was running a 6-week program at the time. I think I was charging, it was certainly, I think if it was in the UK, I was doing it for £2,000. So, it was a reasonable amount. And from a leverage point of view, I would talk to my clients for half an hour once a week. So they had to check in. Behind the scenes, I'd put together all the modules. So I still had course modules, because I didn't want to spend time on a live call teaching them stuff that I could teach them in a simple video that they could just watch by themselves at any time. So they had a plan. They knew when they needed to watch each video. They knew that when they came to the call, exactly what the call was going to be focused on. And the call was very much focused on, what have you done? What feedback have you got? What action have you taken? And here's how we deal with any challenges. And that was it. So it was very easy to manage, 20, 30 clients at a time. I mean, it was very easy, very straightforward. So yeah, I mean, that's a good business model in terms of it combines the coaching, the one-to-one, gives you not massive leverage, but it gives you extraordinary leverage, because of course the teaching part is done through video in a members area, and the calls, really, you don't need more than 30 minutes. 30-minute call to check in with them, answer any questions, make sure they're on track, dig in deep, make sure they're not having any challenges, and they're done. Cool. Yeah, Rajesh, go for it, mate. I'm happy. I've got a couple of minutes and I got to go, but by all means, ask another question. And then I'll wrap this up. I hope this has been useful. I mean, what's good for me is, because I'm forced myself into the habit, because I let my YouTube channel kind of slide a little bit, and because I was distracted by the things I was doing. But I also decided, bigger picture, I want to build a bigger audience. I don't want to make a bigger difference. So it was like, I need to get into the habit of, doing more YouTube videos. And that means specifically sitting down. And the only way I knew I was going to do it was if I set a specific time each week to sit down. One, a specific time each week to map out the material I was going to talk about. And secondly, to actually sit down, record it, and then obviously get it edited and get it ready to load. So I've been doing that, and I've got myself into the habit of it. Like if you look at my Myers-Briggs profile, I'm an ENFP. So the P part is the challenge. That means I'm a perceiver. I like to be in the moment and go with the flow. But of course, people who are successful in business tend to be more judges, as in, judges are people who, if you bought them go back to the days of Filofax. If you bought a judger a Filofax for Christmas, they'd love you. You buy a perceiver a Filofax for Christmas, they'll slap you around the head with it, because that's not who they are. But I've had to learn to develop more judger characteristics. So if if you already know your Myers-Briggs profile and you're already a judge, you're way ahead of the game straight away. So I had to learn judge characteristics. And the way that I found that works for me is I have to set very specific schedules of I will map out the content at this time on this day. I will record the content at this time on this day. So that's what we do for the YouTube channel. But the reason I started the lives was I don't want to have that pressure. I want to balance scheduling and mapping out and recording with being able to just get on camera and talk about whatever pops in my head. So that's what these are. So these are almost therapeutic for me because I just get to express me and talk about what's going on for the week. I had no idea when I started this last week what I was going to talk about, but as soon as I got on camera, something always pops in my head. I thought, you know what, as a theme, I'll just talk about what's been going on this week, what sort of insights I've developed, what I've found really interesting that I think will be of value to you. So again, that's what I've shared this week. All right, Rajesh, let me put your question up. Will you be doing another video on how to create information products business plan for 2021? The simple answer is yes. As in, one, all the videos I'm doing are on YouTube, on my channel, outside of the lives, are specifically designed to answer all the elements of that question. So yes, I will do in a few weeks. I'll put it down. I'll do it and I'll put together a kind of an overview because I've got over the next 6 weeks, I've got a series of videos that are coming out on a weekly basis. And then what I'll do at the end of that is I will title the video as you've described here, you know, how to create for 2021. And I'll bring together all the pieces. And one that'll kind of bring it all together into the bigger picture for you. And also what it will do is it will allow me to refer back to all the videos I've recorded, which is something I was watching a YouTube training yesterday. So given by YouTube, I mean, you can find this is in their Creator Studio package or something. Anyway, it's a free video. So I was watching this and they were talking about one of the key things they recommend is that in your videos, you talk about some of your other videos. Because of course, YouTube's whole game is watch time, keep people on the platform. So that'll allow me, thank you, Rajesh, to in that video refer back to all the videos I've recorded over the previous 6 weeks and obviously tie them in and keep people on the platform for longer. So they'll be happy, they get more value. I'll be happy because I'll get more watch time, and YouTube will be happy because I've got more people staying on the platform. So they'll probably reward me by moving me up the algorithm or whatever it is they do. All right, cool. Thanks, Rajesh. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for everyone who's watched. Obviously, if you are watching this in the replay, we've covered a whole bunch of stuff in this half an hour or so, 40 minutes, from advertising strategies, and obviously also from a personality branding. Put your face out there, put your personality out there. That's how you build that's how you build your brand. That's how you build your audience. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you have any questions you want to ask. I will come back. I will be paying attention to the comments, and I'll either feed them into the next live video I do, or I will answer them directly in the comments section. But again, thanks for that. Thanks for helping me build a habit which is going to serve me and my mission for many years, hopefully. But appreciate the show of love, and I appreciate your attention. All right. I'm going to wrap it up for now. I've got a couple of other things I need to get done today before I go pick up my children who are back at school again. This is a great week. They're back at school. I've got less distractions. Hey. All right. So blessings, loves, take it easy. But as one of my closest friends used to tell me, take it easy, but take it. All right. See you again the next time.